you're welcome. Thank you so much for taking.
I think that we have to be very, very careful about what we mean by this question. And I'm going to try and answer it as frontally as possible, but engage me for a minute, because I think that it's really important that the answers that we give to these kinds of questions be grounded in such a way that they can actually be embraced as answers that are respectable according to Islam and the principles and the dictates of Islam. Now, one of the fundamental principles of, and I'm not being sectarian here, I'm just speaking from the context of my own religious tradition. One of the cardinal principles of Sunnism, of Sunni Islam, is that we do not excommunicate individuals on the basis of behavioral indiscretions that they commit. And I'll try and break that down so that nobody misunderstands that. We do not say that a person who commits adultery, a person who drinks wine, a person who commits any act is in the commission of that act a non-believer.
Okay.
Right? That's a cardinal principle of Islam. Now, so an individual who engages in homosexual behavior, all right, is not disqualified from being a Muslim. And they are Muslim brothers and sisters. When we say, do we make a space for them? Well, if we mean by that, do we accept them as our brothers and sisters, but accept them as brothers and sisters who are engaged in indiscretions that do not meet Allah's pleasure? Yes. In the same way that, you know, people, there's a man who drank wine in the time of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam. And, I mean, he drank wine, I mean, all the time. And one day he drank wine, and the companions brought him to the Prophet and started punishing him, and then they started cursing him. And the Prophet said to them, do not curse him, for he loves Allah and he loves his messenger. This man was drinking wine. And this is the Prophet saying, what? فَإِنَّهُ يُحِبُّ اللَّهَ وَيُحِبُّ رَسُولَهُ. So in that sense, an individual who's engaged in this act, all right, you know, is an individual with whom hopefully we have the Constitution to treat with a degree of empathy. If, however, what we mean by making a space for gay Muslims is that we change the ruling on homosexual acts, not homosexual tendencies, all right? It's my opinion, it's my personal opinion, that you might even argue that there's a sense in which, what is a homosexual? We don't classify people by tendencies. We classify people by actions. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? All right? And so, I mean, if I have a tendency to do something, all right, that doesn't make me a doer of it. And it doesn't earn me any demerits. In fact, if I resist that tendency, it earns me, I don't want to say credit, but you understand my point. All right? It earns me reward with Allah. Okay? So if homosexuals want to say, I'm a homosexual, and you must accept homosexual acts as being acceptable and permissible in Islam, I don't see a place for that. Any more than I see a place for, I am an adulterer, and you must make a place for adultery in Islam. I am a drinker of wine, and you must make a place for, in other words, not make a place for wine drinkers, all right, but accept wine drinking as an acceptable behavior. That I do not see a place for. But for homosexuals as Muslims, and homosexuals can be Muslims. And if they are Muslims, they are Muslims. And there's a place for them in terms of the degree of acceptability that we owe them as Muslims. But not all Muslims are equal in that sense. There are good Muslims and there are bad Muslims. In other words, we do not alter our standard of behavior in terms of what the criteria of Islam happen to be, simply to accommodate people. But we accommodate them as human beings with all the frailties that you and I might have. So when we say make a place for homosexuals, I think we have to be very clear what we're talking about. Make a place for people who have a problem? Yes. Make a place for people who want to redefine Islam? No.
Wow. Okay. I love this discussion. I think I need to get more of this clip. I love the man. The man is very, very sound. This is the first time I'm coming across this Muslim scholar as a very, very sound man. But I want to point out something. You said you can accept gay in Islam, but when they are not ready to change, then it's not accepted. Like, I don't get it. If you say you can accept them, and now you say that if they don't want to change, then that's where the problem is, then why do you accept them? I don't know if the man is contradicting himself or I'm the one understanding him. I don't know. But that is how I see what he just spoke about right now. So my whole issue is now, yes, so many, there's one particular video I came across with, and the person was like, gays are not accepted in Islam because why will you do such things? Like, it's not permitted, it's against the adultery. But now the man is saying that they do not reject anybody. You come as you are. Allah accepts you. But if you're not ready to change, that's where the problem is. But the people around him might find it difficult to actually interact with the person, might find it difficult to interact with them. But in Islam, you cannot push them away. You can't push them away from Allah. I think that's how I get to understand this particular clip. God accepts you as you are. But when God accepts you, you should be ready to change. Because if you keep sinning and you keep going to God and forgiving God, yes, God is merciful, God forgives us. But we should also try and change while asking God for forgiveness. Because as they like we that we are human beings, when somebody offends us, we forgive them, right? But we have limits to how we forgive people. That's why sometimes when you have friends, group of friends, and somebody actually break your trust or something happen along the way, that doesn't mean you guys will not be cool, but you guys won't be close like before again, right? You have a best friend and he betrayed you or did one or two things, your close friend, you will want to distance yourself. You are forgiving the person, but you want to distance yourself. That's it. That's how we human beings are. But God accepts us. But at the same time, we should not take God's love and mercy for granted. I think that's what he's trying to say, that yes, you can come. You are a gay before you come to the religion. Good and fine. God will accept you. But while you are in the religion, you should learn good things. Definitely, you have to learn. The religion is there for you to uplift you, to change you positively, for you to learn in a good light. So when you now go to it's not even only Islam, any religion you find yourself and you know that there are some things you do and you know that it can't be pleasing to God. When you go to that religion, try as much as possible to change. People will accept you at first, but if you are doing something constantly and people do not like, no, it's not for people to distance themselves. So that's what he meant by people might not be able to accept you because they feel you should change. Change is constant. Change, it's possible it's very difficult to change, but gradually, if you have the tendency, willingness to do so, you will, and people can help you out to do so. But when they see that you're not even ready to change, then they'll step back. People start avoiding you. I think that's what he meant by that. So, as I said, you should be careful with the way you talk about sexuality in Islam. So this is a beautiful video. I love that the man explained it well, telling us that God accepts. Because the other clip I saw, the lady actually bashed the guy, saying that we can't accept you, blah blah blah. No, you don't do that. You don't hurt people. Religion is where you should find peace of mind, love, and happiness. But when you just say hurtful words to somebody, how do you expect the person? Why do you want the person to fall back on? The only place you can fall back on is God. God is the only person that can never, 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 leave us. So when somebody is trying to change and you are bashing at the person and because of one mistake, or even though if the mistake is big, because there's no big mistake or small mistake, even though that thing looks big, that doesn't mean we should treat ourselves anyhow. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is too holy or too spiritual like God. Nobody is like God. We all make mistakes. That was a very beautiful discussion. I really enjoyed this video. I think I need to search more on this man's video. It's very, very sound. I love how he spoke. I love, everything about his diction. It was so bold. Like, it was a very beautiful video. I just love everything about the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.